What's to be done in Canada about the coronavirus, and are public officials doing enough? Those are the questions that a lot of regular Canadians as well as health experts are asking. We've seen already some alarmism happening on social media. Regular people flocking to stores to buy face masks and hand sanitizer. I mean, you gotta see it in downtown Toronto. Where I'm based, I go into the stores and people say they're just coming in and buying up everything. I was in a drugstore and a man rushed in and said, "I need face masks. Where are they?" And they said, "Sir, we don't have any here." He said, "Where can I get them?" He said, I don't know, go to that medical clinic. See, maybe they'll give it to you. Then the man rushed out. I thought, wow, this is a person who is really alarmed, particularly when you have some health experts saying, the masks, they don't actually help all that much. So do we have proportionality here? I don't know, but to simply tell these people, whoa, calm down, your concerns aren't justified, trust the system works, I'm not so sure about that part either. It's funny, our medical experts across Canada have said, we've learned our lesson from SARS, the system is working, and it's kind of funny when we had concerns about people coming here with coronavirus, we were told, don't worry, the system works. And then we had some suspected cases, and we were told, the system works, trust the system. And then now we have several confirmed cases and a few dozen suspected cases, and we're told the system is working. What does that mean? That people, they had it in China, it's slowly coming here, it's slowly increasing here, the system is working. This is working? That's what that means? I don't know. Maybe they are managing it to make sure that it is not spreading even further, but many people have detailed questions about whether enough is being done to deal with people who are getting off planes who come from that area, whose original point of travel started in the Wuhan province. I don't just mean anonymous voices on social media. For instance, the CEO of the Ontario Nurses Association, she says she would like to see the precautionary principle followed. That is a term that they use in their line of work, basically meaning you take extra steps along the way, steps that she feels are not being taken. And those steps could include more added quarantine and being more proactive as opposed to reactive. We have heard that this one plane where this man was on, they said, well, we're going to call people who were 3 rows in front and 3 rows behind. The CEO of that nurses association says that doesn't make any sense because, there are people using the bathrooms and coming into contact elsewhere on the plane. Why just the 3 rows in front and the 3 rows behind? We've been told some conflicting information about the transmission rates of this and whether or not it can be transmitted just through people being close to each other. Well, there's one alarming story of a woman from Shanghai who had not been to Wuhan, but her parents had. She got on a plane and she went to Germany, which is where the automotive employer she works for, they have their head office. She did a company retreat or business meeting or what have you with some colleagues. She feels fine. She gets back on the plane, she goes back home to Shanghai. Then she starts to feel sick, and a guy in Germany who was at that meeting now is believed to have coronavirus. So we see exactly how it is spreading. Parents in the Greater Toronto area, just north of Toronto, in an area with a very heavy Chinese population, they put an online petition saying they would like to see children just returning from China be quarantined for 2 weeks, well, forced to stay at home, not allowed to go to school, as a precautionary measure. Now, I found that the school board had issued a statement basically calling this petition racism and something that will propagate hate. You go, what? None of the 2 people who signed this letter, the director of education and the school board chair, are persons of Chinese descent, but the people creating the petition and signing it are, because they know that many of their neighbors have gone to China for the Lunar New Year and are now returning. They are worried that those people are going to bring the virus to them, and these people are being accused of propagating hate. Look, I want to believe the experts. I want to have faith in the system, see the system works, and we are blessed to live in a country that has much more rigorous protocols than I would say most other countries in the world. At the same time, there are a lot of moving parts here, and there are a lot of things that we don't know. When I look back at how Canada has dealt with some other issues, the Ebola virus, we were very reluctant to ban flights from West Africa. Grounding the MAX 8 jets. Marc Garneau, he's a pilot, he went up into space, he was an astronaut. I mean, he has technical know-how in this. He was one of the last people to do that. He was saying, no, we don't need to do that. And he only did it after every other country did it. Why does Canada have to be the last to act? Why do we have to follow other people's lead, particularly when it comes to this virus? Like with SARS, we could be the second greatest country affected other than China. And what happened during SARS is we did not proactively ban all these incoming flights, but after we got it, the World Health Organization imposed a travel ban in Toronto, and that really hurt the Toronto economy, and that's why we had that Rolling Stones SARS Stock concert to sort of bring it all back. Do we want to do that again? Do we want to wait until it gets so bad here that other people start banning us, or do we want to take a look and consider banning incoming flights? Francois Philippe Champagne, our foreign affairs minister, he recently told the media that they have about 125 Canadians who are in Wuhan and they want to come back. There's about 250 that have been identified. Half want to be brought back. Do we bring them back? What are the odds that one of those people, 2, 3 of them, have this virus? They're in the plane, they give it to each other, and they bring it to the broader community. It doesn't seem like a pretty wise idea. There is a reason why Wuhan is under quarantine. In fact, one gentleman, a Canadian gentleman living and working in Wuhan, says he doesn't want to go on that plane because he feels if he's on that plane, he's going to get it from that. And he says he feels safer staying with his wife and children just in their home, hanging out and watching movies and so forth in Wuhan, waiting it all out, rather than exposing that to him. So all of this continues, and every 12 hours or so we learn more statistics and we learn how this is changing. There is good news and there is not good news, of course. It's hard to trust China with all of their statistics. There is one statistic that it's hard to find, but Johns Hopkins University has it on a sort of online spreadsheet that I track. They have the number of cases, they have the death rate, and they have the recovery rate, which right now about matches the death rate. And the recovery rate, meaning the people who had coronavirus, and now they're better, and they've overcome it. So it's important to remember that people get it, and they do okay afterwards, although I guess it's a bit troubling to see that that matches the death rate right now. It's not like this is some automatic death sentence getting this illness, and there's a whole bunch of questions about whether it is only very sick people, previously sick people, who will actually succumb to it, or whether or not, as we've seen in some cases, more younger, robust people in their 30s can also fall victim to this. So should we be alarmed? No, I don't think so. We shouldn't necessarily be running and fighting each other for the few remaining masks, but should we continue to ask questions of our public health officials, and should the media, as they have done in press conferences, ask very specific, rigorous questions of public health officials and make it clear to them that we do, the public, want to hold them to account? Yes, we most certainly should. I'm sure this is not the last time we will be discussing this issue.